Hello, this is Chartered Accountant Omkar Garkar. Friends, we are here with a video on GST annual return and especially the focus is the amendments in the GST annual return. Friends, as you all know that the GST annual returns are due to be filed for the financial year 24-25 on 31st December 2025. That is currently the due date. Yes, we are having a backdrop of lot of extension of due dates on the income tax front, the tax audits, followed by that now even the MCA due dates have been extended. Nonetheless, as of now, we don't have any extensions announced for the GST annual returns and therefore your due date stands as 31st of December 2025. Friends, as far as the annual return applicability is concerned, if you see that the applicability of the GST annual return is that if the aggregate turnover of a financial year 24-25 is less than or equal to 2 crores, then the GSTR 9 and GSTR 9C both stand to be optional and not mandatory. 9 for the period 2024-25, if the annual aggregate turnover exceeds rupees 2 crores but does not exceed 5 crores, then GSTR 9, that is the annual return, is mandatory but not the reconciliation statement. And if the aggregate turnover 2000 for the 24-25 year exceeds rupees 5 crores, then of course GSTR 9 as well as GSTR 9C is compulsory. Friends, one very specific thing that has come up in this year is that on September 17, 2025, there was a notification issued 15 by 2025. On this notification, there have been slight form of a confusion. We can say that what the notification says, let us quickly go through that, where the commissioner, the recommendation of the council in respect of filing of the annual return for the financial year 24-25 hereby exempts the registered person whose aggregate turnover in any financial year is up to rupees 2 crores from filing the return for that said financial year. Now, one of the perception which was getting developed was कि अगर 22 crore rupees से aggregate turnover in any financial year is up to 2 crores, then financial annual return is exempted. See, here the problem is that it specifically says that a registered person whose aggregate turnover in any financial year is up to 2 crores from filing the annual return in that said financial year, he'll be exempted in filing the annual return in that said financial year. Means in any particular financial year, like for 24-25, if the aggregate turnover does not exceed rupees 2 crore, then for 24-25 the exemption prevails. So that does not have any bearing on any subsequent period or subsequent years. Mind you well, this is what needs to be taken very specifically from this notification. Why? Because slightly the wordings got changed and then there was some discussion or there was some buzz, but ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. अगर 24-25 में अगर आपका aggregate turnover सिर्फ 2 करोड़ से ऊपर नहीं है तो ही आपको रिटर्न का exemption मिलेगा. That is what it says. Now friends, of course, till now in all these years I've been trying to discuss this GSTR 9 in depth by going on a form to form basis. However, नाउ दैट वी आर इन द 8th ईयर ऑफ फाइलिंग, हम लोग को GSTR 9 फॉर्म के बारे में काफ़ी सारी जानकारी है. वी नो कि बाबा टर्नओवर टेबल नंबर 4-5 में टर्नओवर है, 6 में इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट है, 7 में रिवर्सल्स है, 8 में क्रेडिट अवेलेबिलिटी फॉर द ईयर एक्सेट्रा डिस्कशन है. GSTR 9 टॉक्स अबाउट द पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्सेस. GSTR 10, 11, 12 and 13 is all about the adjustments or subsequent changes made during the period April 2025 to October 2025 of the subsequent period, that is before 30th of November 2025. Means the form as such in structure has no changes. Their only differences is that within the form there have been certain changes which have been made. And friends, as far as this particular PPT is concerned, this particular presentation is concerned, I have in depth tried to cover the details which have been made, for instance the changes which have been made in the forms. But what I would like to go through is that whatever changes have been made in the forms, all those changes have been well covered in this presentation, which I will be anyways sharing as a part of this. The link will be shared for this. The tables which have been inserted have been given here. But to be very specific and to discuss the amendments, what the interest will be that we will be going through this form GSTR 9C in, beg your pardon, GSTR 9 in this video in detail, that is the annual return form. To start with, of course, the basic data, financial information, etc. will be given. Now let us come to the first table, that is the table number 4, that is about the turnover. फ्रेंड्स, एज फार एज द टेबल नंबर 4 इज कंसर्न, यहाँ पे कोई भी चेंजेस एज सच यहाँ पे देखने नहीं मिलेंगे. द टेबल नंबर 4 एज इट कम्स auto populated from GSTR1, the entire all this data is going to come over here. The only thing that we are supposed to do in this table number 4 is कि अगर आपका कोई भी क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ टर्नओवर रिपोर्ट होते वक्त गलत हुआ है GSTR1 में, आपका B2C कहीं B2B रिपोर्ट हुआ है एंड वाइस वर्सा, हमको बस उतना रेक्टिफिकेशन करना है. आप इस टेबल को कर सकते हो. फ्रेंड्स, इन GSTR9 टेबल नंबर 4, टेबल नंबर 5, ये दोनों एडिटेबल टेबल्स है. द ओनली थिंग इज दैट आपका जो ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड डेटा आ रहा है, एज लॉन्ग एज इट इज मैचिंग विथ योर बुक्स, as long as there are no major deviations apart from some specific industries, like see, in more or less the numbers as per books and the number as per return should be coinciding. There can be exceptional industries, construction industry, APC contracts, where of course your turnover as per books and the turnover as per the GST return is never going to match, because the method of determining the value and time of supply under GST law, and the method of determining the turnover as per the accounting standard in the financial reporting standard, that is different, and therefore for specific industries ये numbers coincide होने का chances कम है. Otherwise more or less हमको यही कोशिश करना है कि हमारे जो बुक्स का डेटा है, जो ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल्स का डेटा है, that has to get captured in the GSTR1 return. So if at all you are going to make changes in the GSTR1 apart from those 2-3 industries that we spoke, apart from that बाकी केसेस में आइडियली आपका टर्नओवर मैच होना चाहिए. अगर समझो नहीं हो रहा है एंड आपको एनुअल रिटर्न में चेंजेस करना जरूरी है, बिकॉज यू फील दैट द GSTR1 वाज अंडर रिपोर्टेड और यू फील दैट द टर्नओवर वाज नॉट वेल रिपोर्टेड, देन ऑफ कोर्स whatever changes you want to make, you can make it over here. Of course, there are tables which are table number 10 and 11 where we can report the increase or decrease in the turnover that you might have reported during the period April 2024 25 beg your pardon to October 2025. अगर आपने उसको 30th नवंबर तक कोई भी केस में अपलोड किया होगा तो वहां पे आपका डेटा बाय डिफॉल्ट चले गया है. फ्रेंड्स, द ओनली थिंग इज दैट अगर ऐसा सिचुएशन है कि GSTR1 में कोई चीज कैप्चर नहीं हुई, सब्सिक्वेंट पीरियड की 30th नवंबर तक आपने जो रिटर्न्स फाइल करने हैं, मान के चलो उसमें भी आपका वो डेटा कैप्चर नहीं हो रहा है, या फिर अक्टूबर के रिटर्न तक डेटा कैप्चर नहीं हो रहा है, देन इन दैट केस व्हाट यू आर सपोज टू डू इज कि वो चीजें आप यहाँ पे अपडेट करके GSTR1 का जो डेटा है उसको अपडेट करके, ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड डेटा को अपडेट करके यहाँ पे GSTR9 टेबल नंबर 4 एंड 5 में ऑफ कोर्स ऐड कर सकते हो. सो दिस इज द ओनली चेंज दैट वी आर गोइंग टू make over here. Means that additions or alterations in the data will be done only when हमारा ये हिसाब से कोई भी additions करना हमको लगता है that there is a necessity or there is a change which is necessary in the turnover. Otherwise table number 4 and table number 5, there are no much major changes as such. Yes, we have last year started seeing that there have been the changes made in the reporting of data key supplies on which the e-commerce operator is required to pay tax. That also gets part of added as his turnover because it is his liability to pay the tax on such turnover. इसीलिए वो turnover में उनके ऐड करना जरूरी पड़ता है. That is the only difference, of course, in table number 4 or table number 5. Now friends, one important thing is that about reporting of the nil rated data, exempted non-GST or no supply data, it is necessary to ideally separately report these amounts, because the all calculations linked to your assessment of refunds के लिए भी ये ज़रूरी है. आपका जो नॉन GST सप्लाई है उसका वैल्यू डिटरमाइन करने के लिए भी ज़रूरी है. एग्जम्प्टेड सप्लाईज, नॉन GST सप्लाईज का बाइफोकेशन टू द एक्सटेंट पॉसिबल, try to make it over here. Nil rated and exempted, of course they can be merged with each other, but the non GST supply that needs to be reported separately. So friends, I directly come to that table which is of more relevance when it comes to the changes that we are discussing, and that table is none other than the table number 6, that is about the GSTR9 table number 6, that is about the input tax credit. That is all something now going to be relevant from this particular financial year. Now what is so necessary over there is, so in the form GSTR 9 and then this table 6, which is particularly seen the major changes which have come up. So friends, what we are going to do is that ये जो new GSTR 9 का form 6 है, हम लोग उसको काफी डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे, because यहीं पे पूरा चेंज जो है वो आपको देखने मिलेगा. Now title remains as it is, that is the details of ITC availed during the year, during the financial year. So there is no apparent change in the title thereof. The major changes come from here. Now, if you see, what it particularly covers is that the total amount of input tax credit availed through the form GSTR 3B, or that is table number 4A of your GSTR 3B. Now, this is the credit that we claim. This will be auto populated from the cumulative data of your GSTR 3B. उसमें कोई changes नहीं है. Now, the first thing is that the form segregates ITC of the preceding financial year availed in the current financial year, which is included in 6A above, other than ITC reclaimed under Rule 37 and 37A. Friends, इसमें basically क्या cover हो रहा है that for the financial year 2023-24 अगर आपने कोई credit अप्रैल 2024 से लेके अक्टूबर 2024 के रिटर्न्स के तहत क्लेम किया होगा, that credit which you claimed for the year 23-24 that you claimed while filing the GSTR 3B returns of 24-25, तो वो जो अमाउंट है आपका इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट का जो 23-24 का आपने 24-25 में क्लेम किया है, उस अमाउंट को आपको यहाँ पे हटा देना है. सी द पर्टिकुलर पर्पस इज वेरी क्लियर एंड इट्स रियली अ गुड थिंग दैट दिस हैज बीन ब्रॉट इन, बिकॉज हम लोग का क्रेडिट जो है वो ओवरलैपिंग क्रेडिट्स होते हैं. दिस इंक्लूड्स द क्रेडिट ऑफ द प्रीवियस ईयर क्लेम्ड इन द करंट ईयर. So that is some amount that we need to reduce while determining the turnover. So हम लोग को ये amount जो है वो यहाँ से हटा देना है. So this amount goes away from here. Now one very important thing is that input tax credit for the financial year 23-24 claimed in 24-25 will be shown over here. अभी इसका data आपको ये भी ज़रूरी है that last year when you filed your GST annual returns, the table number 8C and table number 13 में जो data आपका cover हुआ रहेगा, ideally that will also be over here. So try to remember, of course, the table number 13 का जो डेटा आपका लास्ट ईयर का भी, उसमें आरसीएम का भी क्रेडिट हो सकता है, एसईजेड वाला भी हो सकता है, जो कि आपके 8C से ज़्यादा हो सकता है. तो जो भी आईटीसी आपने करंट ईयर में अवेल किया है, ट्राई टू टेक टेक्निकली 13 इफ 13 एंड 8C आर नॉट मैचिंग ऑफ द प्रीवियस ईयर. नॉट मैचिंग का मतलब है 13 में हमेशा ज़्यादा अमाउंट हो सकता है, क्योंकि उसमें नॉट ओनली फॉरवर्ड चार्ज बट ऑल्सो आरसीएम का क्रेडिट हो सकते हैं. इसलिए यहाँ पे आपको वो जो अमाउंट है वो हटा देना है. Now what basically it leads to is that this shows you net ITC only and only of the financial year 24-25, net ITC of the financial year. So the input tax credit has kind of segregated now into two parts: the total comprehensive credit claimed by me during 24-25 less ITC of 23-24 claimed in 24-25. So that amount has now gone away. Now when you come to the next part of it, that 6B, 6C, 6D, the primary bifurcation as it was expected, that inputs, capital goods and input services. In this also the capital goods credit is to be separately shown by you. So inward supplies other than imports, inward supplies liable to reverse charge but include services received from SEZ, services, not goods, services received from SEZ. All this credit will be reflected in 6B. Now 6B is something that all taxes where you have received the goods, received the services, there is no RCM in this cases, that is all in 6B. Then 6C will be inward supplies received from unregistered person liable for reverse charge. Of course here there are two segments which were made in the previous year only, that is inward supplies received from unregistered person liable to reverse charge and inward supplies received from registered persons liable to reverse charge other than B above. So that means where there is a normal purchase not from a URD supplier. Here also the bifurcation, of course, capital goods wherever you are having, if at all you are having a scenario of capital goods being procured, please show it separately. 6B, as far as 6C and 6D is concerned, they have still given you a choice to kind of merge those things together. The 6B, 6C and 6D, beg your pardon, reporting can be merged in 6D alone. That can be done by you. Import of goods including supplies from SEZ. Now here the primary thing is that import of goods including supplies from SEZ, here the bifurcation of capital goods and inputs is mandatory. Here the bifurcation is, why it is mandatory, because now they are going to link this data separately later on in table number 8 and therefore 6E now becomes a very crucial table. इसका आगे linking हमको आएगा. तो टेबल 6E में जो हमारा डेटा है इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स का, वो स्पेसिफिकली जाना जरूरी है. इंपुट्स एंड कैपिटल गुड्स टू बी रिपोर्टेड सेपरेटली विदाउट एनी permissible clubbing of the data. Next, import services, this remains same, that services of import of services ka data, inputs tax credit received from ISD. Friends, again ISD data becomes very important over here. See, from 1st April 2025, anyways, ISD has become compulsory. Right now, we are filing the data for the year 24-25. So, when we had the ISD returns, maybe not in a mandatory manner, but when we had the ISD returns and we have claimed the data from the ISDs, then these amounts may be shown here. A couple of instances where I have noted that ऐसा हुआ था कि गलती से GSTR 3B फाइल करते वक्त ITC from ISD करके रिपोर्ट हो गया था गलती से, मतलब there is nothing mollified about it. Now in the subsequent period जब उसका assessment होने लगा that the GST officer has flagged off that boss you don't have a ISD registration, how can you claim an ISD credit? See, there is a practical possibility that this is just a error which was caused or committed, that needs to be ensured that there is no such error which is caused, because the problem is that यहाँ पे आपका ISD का जो भी क्रेडिट है ना, तो वो ISD का क्रेडिट है तो नो प्रॉब्लम, गलती से ISD में आए तो उसको प्लीज रिक्लासिफाई करके आप ऊपर डाल दीजिए, बिकॉज दैट इज गोइंग टू इंश्योर दैट यू हैव रेक्टिफाइड दैट मिस्टेक as and when it was possible. Now the amount of input tax credit reclaimed under the provisions of the act. Now friends, when you talk about the reclaiming of credit, now reclaiming of credit slightly with a wider arena in the form of rule 37 and 37A being there. So if there is any kind of a reclaimed credit, because if you see here when you talked about the input tax credit of the previous financial year, that did not cover rule 37A and 37A. Now rule 37 specifically is when the payment is not made to the vendor within 180 days, but you have subsequently paid that amount and claimed the credit, that is one thing. 37A is अगर सामने वाला आपका जो सप्लायर है वो GSTR 3B का डिफॉल्टर रह चुका है, इसलिए आपने क्रेडिट रिवर्स किया हुआ था, अगर वो अमाउंट रिक्लेम किया है एंड वो आपके अदरवाइज 6B में जाके बैठा था, तो उसको आपको सेपरेटली बाइफरकेट करके दिखाना है, रिक्लेम्ड क्रेडिट अंडर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द एक्ट. Basic, what this J has been amended is, now J particularly says that ideally there should not be any difference. Ideally, what is the instruction form saying is that ideally आपका जो भी data, because J आपको बताता है J is the difference between I and A2 above. What is I saying the bifurcation of credit, that is the net credit for the financial year, should be ideally tallying by classifying all these specific rows. If at all there is a difference, then there is a problem, that because that is going to be carried forward to be an explainable difference. I'm not saying that difference hai to mat dikhao. Ideally there should not be any difference, that should be ideally zero. However, if there is difference and you have reasons to explain later on, then that difference can be shown, but the ideal reporting mechanism should have a difference as zero. Transition credits, if any, then of course that difference can be plotted over here, transition, tran 1, tran 2. Now there can be a reason that ITC which is availed through ITC 01, 02 or 02A. Now these forms are of course when you have the section 18 subsection 1 scenarios, जबकि अगर आपका इनपुट्स रॉ मटेरियल एंड फिनिश गुड्स जो आपके पास स्टॉक में पड़ा हुआ है उसका क्रेडिट अगर आपने सेक्शन 18 के तहत लिया हुआ है, देन ITC 1 mergers and acquisition के थ्रू आ रहा है, then of course then that is coming in your ITC 02, and of course now ITC 02A is something which is a specific case where there is a permissible additional registration under the law in the same state where you are already holding a registration. अगर आपने ऐसा additional registration लिया है, then आपको वहाँ पे जो permissibility दिया गया था to transfer the credit from one registration to another, that is the new one that you have taken, वो आपका ITC 02A फॉर्म में आता है. सो वो भी अगर आपका कवर हो रहा है, then of course that will be covered over here in ITC 02A form. So friends, this is how your ITC, total ITC availed in I plus N will be covered. Now हम लोग जाते हैं next टेबल की तरफ, that is GSTR 9 टेबल नंबर 7, details of input tax credit reversed. If you remember, in the till the last year there were, as per only rule 37, 39, 42 and 43, these were the only 4 reversals. Now what it says is rule 37 reversal, which is made reversals of the ITC and eligible ITC for the financial year. So that means something that you reported in the GSTR 3B returns through the year, उस reversal के बारे में यहाँ पे बात होगी. If the payment was not made within 180 days, then वो जाएगा आपका rule 37 में. If the सप्लायर हैज फेल्ड टू फाइल द जीएसटीआर 3B रिटर्न्स, उसके बेसिस पे आपने कोई रिवर्सल किया है तो आपका जीएसटीआर 9 टेबल नंबर मतलब वो आपका जाएगा 37A के तहत. As per Rule 38, of course, when the banking company, to the extent of credit that they are not entitled to avail, that will be reversed over here and shown over here. Rule 39, if the excess ISD credit had been availed, and अगर वो हमको reverse करने का नौबत आया है, Rule 39, and common credit reversals under Rule 42, 43, of course, अगर आपने किया है तो as per section 17.5. Now section 17.5 is about the disclosure of the ineligible credit that you would have taken during the year. वो आपका 17.5 में आना है. Now friends, this is other, if there, of course, if there has been any other reversal by any other reason whatsoever during some assessment that you have done, or you have done it through GSTR 3B, not through 3 not through DRC 03, then that will be mentioned over here. Total ITC reversed is sum of A to H above. So if you see that A to H above is comprehensively covering even your amount of input tax credit reversals, which is up to the other reversals. Friends, 17.5 वाला क्रेडिट भी हमने यहाँ पे रिवर्स करा हुआ है, ऐसा दिखाया है. तो अगर आपने एलिजिबल क्रेडिट ग्रॉस फुल क्लेम किया है एंड 17.5 सेपरेटली रिवर्स किया है, नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल, दैट विल बी गोइंग ओवर हियर एज अ रिपोर्टेबल आइटम. Now once that is there, you are at a place called, I mean you will be at 7J, which talks about the net ITC which is available for utilization. This is a very crucial table or row, because this is going to be of course looked into when your assessments will be taking place. Now friends, अगर हम लोग बढ़ते हैं टेबल नंबर 8 की तरफ. So what has happened is that I have particularly covered in my form, I have written certain instruction, and I have also tried to kind of cover that what all amendments have been made or what all differentiations have been made, since the forms which are right now available on the website, that is only on the CBIC website, there were limitations in editing them on the PDF editor, and therefore I had to I have to do some homework with my end, of course, but wherever the changes are there, I am trying to give those highlights in those specific tables. नाउ फ्रेंड्स, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली टेबल नंबर 8 जो हमेशा एक डिस्प्यूट का काफी एपिसेंटर रहा हुआ है, नोटिस का एपिसेंटर रहा हुआ है. इफ देयर वाज अ डिफरेंस इन 8A, 8B, 8C, then and if that difference is negative, your credit claimed as per GSTR 2A is more, less, and the credit claimed was more, then there is a problem. There has always been a problem. Now friends, if you remember that table number 8A is an auto-populated data which comes on the basis of your GSTR 2Bs which have been filed. GSTR 9 table 8B, यहाँ पे जो डेटा ऑटो पॉपुलेट होके आएगा that will be ITC as per 6B above. लास्ट ईयर तक 23-24 तक आपका यहाँ पे जो डेटा आता था ITC as per 6B and H होता था. हालांकि this year this will be only including the input tax credit which is other than the reclaimed credit, purely the input tax credit which is as per 6B above. Inward supplies other than imports and inward supplies liable to reverse charge. इसमें इनपुट सर्विसेज कैपिटल गुड्स सब कुछ जो फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में आपने पे किया है वो ही क्रेडिट से यहाँ पे कंसिडर किया जाएगा. Friends, just to make it a point that what table 8 has been tried to be filtered and improved is, it is purely comparing the credits of ITC, the ITC of purchases made during the year with the forward charge purchases that you have seen in 2B as well as over here. The form is getting better day by day to eliminate those confusions or errors or possibly some notices which have been come in the past, just by making sure that the updated and the updates that are taking place are exactly to eliminate those confusions or those errors which were there in the past. And therefore this is a major change that this is only as per 6B above जो आपका auto populate होके यहाँ पे आएगा. So जब आप table number 6B का filtered data निकालने वाले हो, please ensure that there is no excessive RCM data which is just by accident put over there, because वो amount अगर बड़ा हो जाता है आपके 8A से ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड डेटा से, देन ऑफ कोर्स आपका ये अमाउंट नेगेटिव में चले जाएगा, लीडिंग टू अ नोटिस. सो प्लीज बी वेरी मच केयरफुल अबाउट दिस. C is ITC on inward supplies other than imports and inward supplies liable to reverse charge, but include service from SEZ received during the financial year but availed in the next financial year up to the specified period. Now this specified period is, as you all know, that if the credits are to be claimed in the subsequent year's returns, then it will be returns of April 25 to October 25. if these returns are filed by 30th of November 2025. Please note, if the returns are exceeded beyond this, unless there is an extension of due date of any of these periodic returns beyond these 30th November, please note that that credit will not be then valid and also cannot be captured over here in 8C. So very importantly, please mark it very clearly, what data is being captured over here is captured already in those returns of April 25 to October 25. That has to be filed by 30th of November 2025. Then the difference, ITC availed, eligible, I mean ITC availed but not available or ineligible, that classification is something that we need to give. Now IGST paid on import of goods, IGST paid which is on import of goods, this is, please see the difference. Yes, this table 8G says IGST paid and table number 8H says IGST credit availed. 8G is from the data coming from your books, how much IGST you have paid during the year, that will be one data. IGST claim during the year will be coming from your table 6E, please mind you well. Now H is what? IGST credit on import of goods in the next financial year. So if there has been some IGST paid during the year 24-25 which you are claiming or willing to claim in the returns of April 25 to October 25, if filed by 30th November, and वो अगर कोई भी IGST का डेटा है तो वो आपका यहाँ पे रिपोर्ट हो सकता है, so that जितना आपने IGST भरा है G minus H plus H1, G minus H1 वाला जो मतलब प्लस को ओपन करके ब्रैकेट में वो माइनस माइनस हो जाएगा. Ideally then there should not be any difference. Otherwise if there is any difference you might have to consider that it is a ITC available but not availed, may lead to the lapsed credit. Please see that the lapse credit is not just coming like it unless you have really lapsed the input tax credit for that particular year. Friends, the table number 9, which is generally which I endorse and say that in table number 9 do not make any changes although the fields are editable. Now here the tax payable and tax paid through cash, this tax payable and paid through cash is only coming from your table number 6.1 of GSTR 3B. यहाँ पे उन्होंने जो आपको गैप दिया है that is to find out if there are any kind of differences, which are of the tax payable and tax paid through the year. Ideally, even if you are making any additional declaration of liability, do not make it over here. That is my humble view, that is my humble opinion. Just make the data which is in fact punched over here, that is the actual tax paid, and it is in history. It is a history now possibly because there is no changes that you can laterally make to the monthly tax paid. So table number 9, in my humble view, do not disturb it. If there is an excess tax payable which is excessively due to reporting in GSTR 9 table 4 and 5, please pay that tax separately along with this return, but do not make changes in this GSTR 9 table number 9. Friends, particulars again of the transaction for the financial year declared in the returns of the next financial year till the specified period. We've already discussed now what is the specified period. So अगर कोई भी 24-25 का supplies, outward supplies, incremental value, reduction in value, amendments are being made in any of the monthly returns of April 25 to October 25, and अगर ये नवंबर 30, 2025 से पहले किया जाता है, only then those submissions those amounts will be declared over here and reported over here. Now that carries of course supplies of outward supplies outward supplies, adding the taxable value, adding the taxes, reducing the same, both are getting covered. If there is any ITC for the financial year which is reversed in the subsequent year, that will be reported in table number 12. ITC of the financial year 24-25 availed in the next financial year, again within the specified period, that will be reported in table number 13. Friends, technically table number 13 and table number 8C आपको थोड़ा सेम लगता भी है, but please remember 8C में other than imports and inward supplies liable to reverse charge सिर्फ कवर नहीं होते हैं. तो अगर हम लोग को वो भी कोई डेटा है जो हम लोग का इंपोर्ट्स का है, इंपोर्ट्स का है, रिवर्स चार्ज का है, तो हमको उसको कंबाइन करके टोटल क्रेडिट क्लेम इन द सब्सिक्वेंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर जो है वो टेबल नंबर 13 में कवर हो जाना चाहिए. If there are any differences in account of tax paid and declaration 10 and 11 above, जिसका टैक्स पे हुआ है यदि या नहीं हुआ है, उसका डिक्लेरेशन हमको यहाँ पे पेएबल पेड में दिखाना है. इफ देर इज एनी पेएबल विच इज मोर एंड देर इज अ डिफरेंस ओवर हियर, प्लीज पे द टैक्स अमाउंट along with this GSTR9 by filing your DRC03 challans. Table number 15, particulars of demands of refund. This year also, friends, this has been left optional. There is no compulsion to file or fill this particular data. If you have the data available with you, there is nothing like it, you may fill it. Likewise, table number 16, the data regarding the supplies received from composition suppliers, etc. from the composition suppliers, supply regarding the job workers, everything is still again going to be optional. HSN summary, friends, HSN summary regarding the same, we have tried to cover that what exactly the HSN summary and whether the mandate of the HSN summary is really relevant. Friends, in my humble submission, the thing is that since the time the HSN outward, of course, there is no HSN inward summary mandatory. The HSN outward summary was being brought in the GSTR 9 periphery also slowly, steadily on a mandatory basis. The details or the purpose of this has been only that HSN summary data in terms of the value, they are trying to match with how much is the actual tax paid. Your rate wise reconciliations are being done by following this HSN wise summary, because they are willing to understand that whether the taxpayer is actually following or fulfilling the HSN completion, HSN reporting, which is mandatory. Now friends, as far as the HSN summary is concerned, as far as the financial year 2024 and 25 is concerned, what is the rule or what is the rule for or the instruction for reporting? It is as under. As far as the supply of HSN summary is concerned, please note it very carefully. It will be optional for the taxpayer having an annual turnover up to rupees 1.5 crores. It will be mandatory to report HSN code at 2 digits for taxpayer having a turnover in the preceding years up to 1.5 years, but up to 5 crore rupees, and 4 digits for taxpayers above the turnover of 5 crores. Now friends, what has happened is that it shall be mandatory, means now the HSN summary on outward supply is mandatory for whom? Let us just try to quickly see. For the particular financial year 2024-25, we are going to say that the registered person shall have an option to not fill this table, of course, but let us quickly just see what that instructions have been given. Now, why there was a confusion regarding this HSN summary? What was expected is that up to 2 digits or up to 4 digits, if the aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year exceeds 5 crores, then up to 4 digits reporting was mandatory. Or if it is up to 5 crores, then the digits reporting up to 2 digits is mandatory. Here, what we feel is that the instruction form has some limitation. The instruction forms has some the way in which the words have been given in the instruction forms. It says that it shall have an option not to fill. But in my humble view, as far as table number 17 is concerned for outward supply, please fill the data of the outward supply that you have, because you have that from the GSTR1 in itself. Inward supply, yes, of course, not so necessary. Late fees payable declaration, very much to be made, because now it is a part of your annual return. Friends, we will be also coming up with the discussion on the GSTR 9C, that is the reconciliation statement, very soon from now. The data, the necessary the PDF file and the necessary PPT is also being shared along with this video. You can find it in the description box in my YouTube channel, and also on my LinkedIn profile. I'll be specifically ensuring that I get the LinkedIn profile also mentioned, so that the PDF file and the PPTs can be accessed therefrom. So we come up with the GSTR 9C video in very short span from now. Till then, we will continue to discuss, and I wish you all a happy Diwali and a happy learning time. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. Take care.